On the night they were born, their mother didn't hold them close. She dumped them in a trash can and walked away. Everyone thought those twin girls would die nameless, forgotten. But years later, they returned not as victims but as billionaires. In a small African town called Ngola, nights were rarely quiet. Music was always in the air. Drums beating, flutes singing, women ululating, and men clapping in rhythm. Among the crowd, there was one woman who never missed a party. Amara, known across the village as the party queen. Amara was beautiful, with skin that glowed like polished ebony and a laugh that could light up a crowd. But beauty alone didn't define her. Her hunger for attention did. She loved drinking, dancing until sunrise, and being the center of every celebration. Men desired her, women envied her, and children followed her as though she were a festival in human form. But Amara had a secret. Behind her painted face and glittering clothes, she carried the heavy burden of motherhood. Months before, she had given birth, not to one child but two twin girls. For Amara, it wasn't joy, it was trouble. Twins, in her eyes, meant double responsibility, double crying, double mouths to feed. And responsibility was something she never wanted. The village midwives had begged her to rest, to stay at home, to nurse her babies. But Amara only shook her head. "I am too young to waste my life rocking babies. I was born for dancing, not for lullabies." The twins, innocent and fragile, often lay in the corner of the hut, wrapped in old cloth, while their mother painted her face and slipped into colorful dresses for yet another night out. One moonlit night, when the drums thundered louder than usual, Amara's craving for freedom reached its peak. She looked at her twin daughters, tiny, helpless, their eyes glowing faintly in the dim firelight. One was quiet, sucking her thumb. The other stretched her arms as if reaching for the sky. Amara felt no tenderness. Instead, she felt trapped. "Why did you come into my life?" she whispered bitterly. "You are chains around my ankles. I cannot dance with chains." Her decision came as swiftly as a storm. She wrapped the babies in a thin cloth, pressed them to her chest, and slipped out into the night. The village was alive with celebration, so no one noticed her shadow moving through the alleys. Behind the marketplace stood a rusted trash can, old and half-broken, where people threw spoiled food, broken baskets, and unwanted things. With trembling hands, not from sorrow but fear of being caught, Amara placed the twin girls inside. Their cries pierced the air. One wailed loudly. The other whimpered softly. Amara shut her eyes, turned her back, and whispered, "Forgive me or don't. I don't care." Then she walked away into the music, her hips swaying as if nothing had happened. But fate, as it often does, had different plans. Not far from the trash can, a woman named Naima was returning from the river. She was a widow, poor and childless, carrying only a small basket of water and a tired heart. Her husband had died years before, and she had prayed to the ancestors for children, but none had come. As she walked past the marketplace, she heard it, the sharp, desperate cry of babies. At first she thought it was a cat or a goat. But as the sound grew louder, her instincts pulled her toward the rusted trash can. Naima's eyes widened when she saw them. Two tiny girls, shivering in the cool night air, their cloths smeared with dirt, their lips trembling with hunger. Tears filled Naima's eyes. "Oh, ancestors," she whispered, "you have answered my prayers, but in such a cruel way." Without hesitation, she lifted the babies from the trash, held them against her chest, and wrapped them in her shawl. They stopped crying, as though they already knew this woman's heartbeat was safer than their mother's. Naima carried them home. From that night she became their mother, not by blood but by love stronger than blood. The twins, named Amina and Alika, grew up in Naima's humble hut made of mud walls and a grass roof. Life was hard, there was never enough food, clothes were patched again and again, and Naima worked endlessly in other people's farms just to feed them. Yet what the twins lacked in wealth, they gained in love. Naima treated them as gifts from heaven. She told them stories under the stars, sang them lullabies older than the village itself, and taught them the values of kindness, hard work, and courage. The girls were inseparable but different in nature. Amina was calm, thoughtful, and curious. She loved books, numbers, and asking endless questions about the world. Alika, on the other hand, was fiery and bold. She loved trading little things in the marketplace, selling fruits, bargaining with neighbors, dreaming of becoming rich one day. Together they balanced each other perfectly. One heart, two spirits. But the village children never let them forget their beginning. They whispered behind their backs. "Those are the trash can girls. Abandoned by their own mother. No good will come from them." The twins heard these words, but instead of breaking, they grew stronger. "One day," Alika would say, her eyes burning with determination, "we will show them all. We will not be defined by where we came from, but by where we go." Amina would smile softly and add, "And we will never forget Mama Naima, who gave us everything." As they grew older, both sisters discovered talents that set them apart. Amina, with her sharp mind, excelled at school. Though she had no books of her own, she borrowed from teachers, read late into the night by the flicker of a kerosene lamp, and solved problems that even older students struggled with. Her teachers often said, "This girl has a mind sharper than a spear." Alika, meanwhile, turned the dusty marketplace into her classroom. She started by selling groundnuts in tiny paper bags. Soon she was trading fruits, then second-hand clothes. By the time she was a teenager, she had built a small stall that became one of the busiest in Angola. People admired her boldness, her quick tongue, and her ability to turn one coin into 10. But beneath their growing success, one shadow always lingered: the mystery of their birth. Who was their real mother? Why had she abandoned them? Naima never lied to them. On their 16th birthday, she sat them down beneath the big baobab tree and told them the truth. "Your mother was Amara, the party queen. She left you in a trash can the night you were born. But my daughters, remember this. Her rejection is not your curse. It is her shame, not yours." The girls wept, not for the loss of a mother they never knew, but for the cruelty of the world. Amina whispered, "We will rise so high that even she will hear of us." Alika nodded fiercely. "Yes, and she will regret the day she threw us away." By the time they reached adulthood, the twins were already shaping their destiny. Amina won a scholarship to study business and technology in the city. Alika, refusing to be left behind, expanded her market stall into a small shop. Though the distance separated them, their bond remained unbreakable. They wrote letters, shared dreams, and promised each other, "One day we will build something great together." What they didn't know was that fate was preparing the stage for their transformation, from trash can girls to billionaires. But greatness never comes without trials. And their journey was about to test everything they had learned: resilience, courage, and the belief that no beginning, no matter how painful, can decide the ending. The city of Kandala was nothing like Angola. Its streets were crowded with honking cars, tall buildings, and neon lights that burned through the night. For Amina, who had grown up studying by kerosene lamps, it was overwhelming. Yet she felt alive. Her scholarship covered her studies, but everything else was a struggle. She worked long nights cleaning offices and tutoring children to buy food and pay rent. Still, she excelled in class. Her professors quickly noticed her brilliance. She wasn't just good at solving problems. She was creating solutions no one else had thought of. Meanwhile, Alika remained in Angola. Her small shop grew steadily, but she wasn't satisfied. She saw the city merchants arriving in luxury cars, wearing fine clothes, and she dreamed of the same. Every coin she earned, she reinvested. She started selling imported fabrics, then electronics, then cosmetics. By the time she turned 21, people called her the market lioness. But success in Africa's growing economy wasn't easy. Corrupt officials demanded bribes, rival traders tried to sabotage her, and even relatives whispered that trash can girls had no right to rise so high. Alika fought them all with a sharp tongue and a fearless heart. Years passed, and both sisters had grown into strong women. Amina graduated top of her class in business and technology. When she returned to Angola, she was greeted with tears and pride. Alika hugged her tightly, whispering, "Finally, my other half is back. Now we can build what we dreamed of." They sat under the same baobab tree where Naima had once told them the truth about their birth. There they made a vow. "We will build an empire together. Not just for ourselves, but for Mama Naima, for every child who has been abandoned, for every girl told she cannot rise. Our story will be proof that nothing is impossible." With Amina's knowledge and Alika's street-smart skills, the twins launched their first real venture, a small import-export company. They started with almost nothing, borrowing money from friends, selling old possessions, and pooling together every coin they had saved. The beginning was brutal. Shipments got delayed, customers refused to pay, and once their small office was broken into, leaving them with nothing but an empty desk. But every time failure struck, they rose again. Amina's calm logic balanced Alika's fire. When Alika stormed in anger over losses, Amina said, "Sister, storms don't last forever. Let's rebuild." And when Amina doubted herself, Alika reminded her, "We didn't survive the trash can just to quit now." Slowly, their company gained traction. They imported affordable electronics, solar lamps, and household goods, things the people truly needed. Within 5 years, they had expanded across 3 cities. It wasn't long before newspapers began writing about them. "From orphans to entrepreneurs," the headlines read. Some journalists dug deeper and discovered the infamous story of their abandonment. Suddenly, everyone wanted to interview the trash can twins who defied destiny. At first, the sisters hated the nickname. But then Amina said, "Let them call us that. The more they speak, the more people will know where we came from and how far we've climbed." Their story spread like wildfire, inspiring young girls, struggling mothers, and even foreign investors who admired their resilience. But success attracts enemies. One of their closest business partners, a wealthy trader named Okoro, betrayed them. After gaining their trust, he siphoned money from their accounts and fled the country. The loss was devastating. Millions were gone overnight. Many predicted the end of their empire. Alika raged like a lioness ready to tear down walls. Amina, though broken inside, reminded her sister, "If money can be stolen, then we can make it again. But no one can steal our vision." They worked day and night, cutting costs, rebuilding trust with clients, and launching new projects. Their comeback was so strong that, within 2 years, they had not only recovered but tripled their profits. The world began to see them not just as lucky orphans, but as unstoppable forces of nature. As their wealth grew, the twins never forgot the woman who saved them. Mama Naima, now old and frail, lived in a beautiful home they built for her. She often sat in her garden, smiling proudly at the empire her daughters had created. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Naima called them close. Her voice was soft but steady. "My daughters, I am proud. But remember, riches mean nothing if your hearts grow poor. Share what you have. Lift others as I lifted you. That will be your true legacy." Those were her last words. She passed away peacefully that night, leaving the sisters in tears. But her wisdom became the compass of their lives. They built schools for orphans, health centers for mothers, and scholarship funds for poor children. Their empire became more than just business. It became a movement of hope. By their 30s, Amina and Alika had entered the billionaire circle. They expanded into real estate, tech startups, and agriculture. Their names appeared on lists of Africa's most powerful women. They were invited to global conferences, honored with awards, and celebrated as icons of resilience. Yet, in the midst of all the glory, one ghost remained, the woman who had abandoned them. News travels fast, even into forgotten corners. One day, an old, wrinkled woman walked into their company headquarters. She wore a faded dress, her hair unkempt, her eyes heavy with shame. It was Amara, their birth mother. The receptionist, shocked, quickly informed the sisters. When they entered the lobby, Amara fell to her knees. "My daughters," she cried, "forgive me. I was young, foolish, blinded by my love for parties. I did not know the treasure I was throwing away." Please. Let me see you, let me call you mine before I die. The entire room froze. The twins stood still, emotions battling within them. Alika's face burned with anger. You threw us away like garbage. Do you know the nights we went hungry? Do you know how children mocked us? Do you know what Mama Naima gave up to raise us? Amara sobbed. I know. And I regret it every single day. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But please, I beg you, don't let me die with this burden. Amina looked at her sister. Her voice was calm but firm. We cannot erase what you did. But we also cannot erase who we are. Mama Naima is our true mother, and nothing will change that. Still, we will not curse you. We will not hate you. You gave us life even if you abandoned it. That much we acknowledge. Alika's eyes softened, though her anger lingered. After a long silence she said, You are not our mother in heart, but you are our mother in blood. We will not deny you food, shelter or care. That will be our way of closing this wound. Amara wept louder, thanking them again and again. The story of the trash can twins came full circle. Once abandoned in the dirt, they rose to stand among the richest and most respected women in the world. But their true wealth was not money. It was the strength to forgive without forgetting, to rise without arrogance, and to honor the woman who truly raised them, Mama Naima. They continued to build their empire, but even more importantly, they continued to build hope. Across Africa, children whispered their names not as an insult, but as inspiration. If the trash can twins can become billionaires, then we too can rise. Moral of the story: your beginning does not define your ending. Even if the world throws you away, you can rise, rebuild, and shine so brightly that even your past cannot dim your light.